to Raiders Postgame Live, brought to you by Evergood Sausages. It was not a good day for the Oakland Raiders. Their home opener, they come up short 35-28. The defense really struggled. In fact, the Raiders is the first team since 1967 to allow their first two opponents of the season to go over 500 yards. The Atlanta Falcons get a win, 35-28. And this is something we'll be discussing for the next hour. Welcome once again. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Henry Wolford, along with our host and analyst, Bill Romanowski. There's a look at the podium. Jack Del Rio just minutes away from stepping up to the mic. We'll also have interviews with several of the players throughout our show. Bill Romanowski, Raiders fans were ready for another win. This team was trying to improve to 2-0 for the first time since 2002, and just really didn't get the job done at all. What did you think, first of all, of Jack Del Rio going for it on 4th down and 2 with 7 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the game? And it was just a one-touchdown game at that point.
Yeah, it was. You know, that is a very pivotal time in the game. And, you know, I get having confidence in your football team, trusting in your football team that they can gain 2 yards to move the chains. But at that point in the game, with that much time on the clock, the last thing you want to do is give the Atlanta Falcons a short field if you don't make it. And that is what happened. They didn't make it. They gave them a short field, and they drove right down the field, having to go 50 yards and put it right in the end zone. And all of a sudden now you're playing catch up. And I think that in that next series, the Raiders went right down and scored, but they mismanaged the clock. They ran a lot of time off the clock in that series. And at the end, you see, you couldn't stop them on 3rd down. They got a 1st down, and then pretty much ran out the clock.
All right, we're going to have a lot going on in this show, and we're going to have defense. Break down what you saw on the Raiders' defense today. Was it bad tackling? Was it miscommunication, execution, lack of execution? What was their biggest issue?
You know, I think a combination of everything you just said. There was one guy making plays, and that was David Amerson. He made plays in this football game. Ben Heaney, at times, was running for his life across the field, trying to make up for a coverage, a misdirection play, which they would run over and over again. Sean Smith, again, there were big plays against him. What I know about great defenses, Henry, is they make plays, and they make them all over the field. And that's what they didn't do today. You have to make plays on defense. We brought in some big-time guys, Bruce Irving, to rush the passer, to make plays. I didn't see it. Sean Smith, paid him big money to shut receivers down, making plays. Did not see it. So they have something they need to fix. And a combination, Jack Del Rio might have to step in and help out. Ken Norton Jr., for some reason, what he is calling isn't working out there because the Atlanta Falcons put too many yards on this defense.
You mentioned it last week, and you said it again today when we were talking in our green room. You'd like to see this team get after the quarterback a little more blitzes, right?
Yeah, we saw a little bit, you know, where there were some blitzes early in the game. But to me, it's a very conservative defensive game plan. And what I'm seeing is we don't have the personnel to get there with 4 guys. So if you don't have the personnel to get there, you got to bring a 5th. And whether it be a strong safety, whether it be a middle linebacker, whether it be a corner, change it up. But there has to be a change here because, like I said, what they're doing is not working right now.
Jack Del Rio, once again, just minutes away from stepping up to the podium. As soon as he steps up to the microphone, we'll take you back out to Oakland to hear from the coach. We'll also bring you Derek Carr, find out what he'll say after his first loss of the season. He had a pretty good game as well. 33 for 44 for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. But let's get to our Evergood Sausages player of the game, and that's the quarterback from the Atlanta Hub. Falcons, I should say, not the Hawks. Matty Ice, my goodness, was he cold on the Raiders defense today? 26 for 34, 396 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, and a QB rating of 131.5. This is a quarterback who lost in week 1, came to Oakland and got a big victory.
Hey, we all know Matt Ryan is a really good quarterback in this league, but we made him look better than he is. This is a guy that has the ability to choke. And, you know, as I said, you have to be able to get pressure on the passer. You cannot give him all day to throw the football and balance it out with running the football. They did a good job running the football. So Kyle Shanahan, if I'm giving out game balls, I'm giving Kyle Shanahan a game ball because I thought he called an unbelievable offensive game plan against the Raider defense.
When you're the leader of the defense, you have to be the guy who's leading by example. Has Khalil Mack been able to do that in the first 2 games of the season?
You know, Khalil Mack plays hard. He plays real hard. But to me, playing hard sometimes isn't good enough. You have to be able to sack quarterbacks. Hey, if they're going to double you, you got to be able to beat a double team. And if they're doubling you, then the other guys across the line of scrimmage have got to pick it up. Bruce Irvin, somehow, some way, find a way to get to the quarterback.
Khalil Mack, 4 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. You know he's capable of doing much better than that. I don't want to harp on it too much because it's still early in the season. But Sean Smith does not look good out there, Romo. In fact, we saw multiple times today, once again, he's right on the line, doesn't jam the receiver at all. They're putting a little move on him real quick, and they're by him. I mean, that's not what they were hoping for when they signed Sean Smith to a huge contract.
Yeah, you know, when you, I'll say, bought Sean Smith and brought him in and signed him, you thought you were getting a guy that really fit well within the defense with what Ken Norton Jr. wanted and needed. And Lord knows, we needed a corner. He's a guy that is the biggest corner in the National Football League. So you know you're not going to get a guy that is going to be real shifty and be able to move directions with these smaller guys. We saw that last week. He got torched last week. I wouldn't say he got torched today, but I didn't see him make any plays. I didn't see knockdowns. I didn't see any interceptions from him. And that's what you pay a guy multi-millions of dollars when he comes here, and that's to go out there and make plays all over the field and shut down whoever they have him lined up against.
The Atlanta Falcons offense clicked throughout the second half. Take a look at what happened on their final 8 drives of the game. This team was playing great. Field goal, TD, field goal. The interception, then TD, 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 and a punt. I mean, they just appeared as if they were unstoppable at one point. This is not something that's going to go over well with Ken Norton Jr. He's the type of guy who's going to try to fix the problem immediately, but does he have the talent to correct it? Is he going to have to bench someone, or does he stick with his starters and say, look, we're going to fix this, guys. You guys are staying on the field.
You know, this is looking very similar to what happened last year. The defense got off to a very slow start last year, and they picked it up, you know, the second half of the season. Well, guess what? We don't have time for them to pick it up, you know, at the second half of the season. We need to get it done now. So I'll tell you what, Jack Del Rio, I think he's going to be spending some time on the defense side of the football, and he's going to help correct this problem.
A week ago, he was a very happy coach. Today, he's not happy at all because his defense allowed 500-plus yards again in back-to-back weeks. Not at all what we were thinking would happen with this team. I mean, Jack Del Rio is a guy known for his defense.
Yeah, He is. He's a defensive head coach. And like I said, it's time for him to get involved. When you're the CEO of an organization, which to me, he is the CEO of the Oakland Raider football team, and when you have a coordinator that is not getting the job done, it's time for you to step in and get the job done. There were times when I was in San Francisco and George Seifert was our head coach, and when things weren't going well, guess what? He was a defensive head coach. He started spending time on the defensive side of the football to make sure somehow, some way, we found a way to get it done.
Coach Jack Del Rio meeting with reporters right now. Let's take you back out to Oakland to hear from the Raiders head coach. Well, Malcolm Smith's face says it all. You can see the frustration in his face. This team is capable of playing much better than this. Discuss what Jack Del Rio said. He said he believes it's more mental than physical. Can you elaborate on that, Romo?
Well, bottom line is, there's a play called by the offense. They go out there and execute, and you have a play called on defense, a certain coverage, and for some reason, you don't do what you're supposed to do. But you have to give some credit. Like I said, I thought Kyle Shanahan called an unbelievable game. He had a lot of bootlegs where he was throwing the ball back. Matt Ryan, played phenomenal. He threw the one interception. It was a great play by Emerson. But overall, he was phenomenal. They were able to run the football. They were able to really take advantage of us with their tight ends. And the responsibility for that is linebackers and strong safety, because that's who covers the tight end. So they have to tighten that up. I remember that same deal last year. We had issues stopping tight ends. We couldn't stop tight ends. Again, this year, against the Atlanta Falcons today, we had trouble stopping their tight ends.
Heard Malcolm Smith say, look, I'm going to start working right now to correct the problem. What's the best way to deal with a tough loss like this? They were not supposed to lose this game, and then they lose their home opener at that.
Yeah, the best way to address it is to own it, okay? You saw some of that there. So, number one, you own it. And number two, never point a finger at somebody else. Because every time you got a finger pointing at someone else, you got 4 pointing back at yourself. So accountability. I think everybody on that defense needs to hold themselves accountable. And Ken Norton Jr., the coaches, Rod Woodson, defensive back coaches, linebacker coaches, everybody. As you saw Jack Del Rio take responsibility. It is on me. I need to get this fixed. And now the players need to go out and execute. So the combination of the defensive game plan and the players going out and executing is not getting done.
You said own up to it. That's exactly what the defensive players are doing right now. Let's go back out to Oakland. Well, once again, another player paraphrasing what their coach Jack Del Rio said. He's pretty confident that they're going to correct the problem. Is it a bigger problem to correct if it's physical or mental?
Physical. Absolutely. Mental mistakes are fixable. If you're getting beat physically, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough, those kind of mistakes, hey, there's not going to be any savior coming in here on defense that's going to start sacking quarterbacks and covering receivers and knocking the crap out of people. That ain't going to happen. You got to get it done with the group here. Jack was really clear. Way too many mental mistakes out there.
What did you think of Khalil Mack's game today, Romo?
How many times did we call his name?
Not very many.
Exactly.
4 tackles today.
So that's what I think about Khalil Mack's game today. I want to, hey, at the end of the day, it's about production. You produce or you don't. And, there's a lot of excuses out there. There's guys that could say, oh, I was double teamed, the whole game. I don't care. You're getting paid a lot of money to go out there and sack quarterbacks and dominate football games. He did it last year. They were doubling him. So that's not an excuse. I don't think that would be something he would say. This is a man that wants to win, and he wants to perform at a really high level and play well. I know that about this guy. It just isn't happening right now.
One thing about getting to the playoffs, you have to win at home. It's so important to put yourself in good position to get to the playoffs by winning your home games. Are you surprised the Raiders lost today, Bill?
You know, I am. This is one of those games that you have on your schedule. You're like, W. I wasn't so confident about last week's game. They got that W. You need to be able to turn, you know, the ones that you're supposed to get into W's. Today, they need, we were talking about it, you know, before we came on. The offense got off to a slow start. Yeah, they scored 3 touchdowns in the second half and looked better in the second half. But what do they got to do to get going sooner, you know, to where they're putting more points on the board? That didn't happen. They missed that field goal. That may be what Jack is talking about special teams-wise. But, you know, that's on the dirt. That's a tough kick to make. I want to say it's a 54, 55-yarder, somewhere in that range. That's a tough kick to make in the dirt on, you know, the infield of, you know, the stadium. So that's a tough one. So I give that one a pass. So it comes down to this. You got to go out there and make plays. You got to block people. You got to tackle people. That's what you got to do, and you got to do it with a vengeance. Play in and play out.
Well, one guy who's capable of doing that is Khalil Mack, number 52. He's talking with reporters. I want to update you on something regarding Jack Del Rio. He talked to reporters, and he admitted on that final drive, he took over the play calling on the defensive side. So Ken Norton Jr. pretty much got pushed to the side, and Jack Del Rio said, look, I'm going to do the play calling. That tells you right there, he wasn't happy with something going on the defensive side. Is that a red flag for other things to come, Romo?
You know, I think so. And, you know, we've talked about it earlier on the show. This is on him. He owns it. And if he's going to own it, he's not going to let this ship sink with someone else manning his defense. And at the end of the day, he's going to get the job done. And I think you're going to see maybe him calling the defense and getting even more involved for an entire game until this thing gets fixed, and then he can hand it back off to Ken Norton Jr. So bottom line, it needs to get fixed, and it needs to get fixed now.
This is being treated as an urgent matter. They are not going to mess around because they realize there's a lot of talent on that defense. You would have never guessed they would have allowed 1,035 yards over the first 2 games of the season. Romo, the mic is yours. Give us a speech. What would you tell those players right now,
Right
Romo?
here. I think what I'd do, I'd say, it's time, man. Bring it up. Right here. Man to man. We stunk up this ship today. We didn't get it done. And defense, each and every one of you, get ready for this week. Because it's up to us. Offense did not let us down. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Special teams, I don't think, let us down today. Defense, you let this team down. You let Raider Nation down. You let the fans and everyone down. It's time for us to get it going this week in practice. We talk about trusting. I trust we can get it done. I believe we can get it done. Every man is going to be showing up, bringing their absolute best. Come Wednesday, come Thursday, come Friday. Because when we go into Tennessee, we're going to be ready to open up a can of whoop ass, and we're going to take it out on those Titans. You hear me, guys? We're going to take it out this week because I will not let this happen. This is not us. And let's finish with this. I love each and every one of you. There wouldn't be anybody else I'd rather get in a foxhole with than each and every one of you in this room. So Let's do it, guys. It's on us. We're going to go out there and we're going to dominate, and we're going to be 2-1 after next week. And we're going to get it done this week in practice, because that's where you get it done. We're going to own it in practice, and then we're going to own it next Sunday, and we're going to kick the crap.